Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of a Rising Lights podcast with myself and Enraged Kit today. You want to say hello, Kit?
Hey guys, welcome into another episode. Ooh, 12 already. Who have we got today then?
Yeah, episode 12. And joining us this week, on actually quite some short notice, to be honest, is our good friend DriderGames. Drider, do you want to say hello?
Hello. How we doing, guys? Glad to be on the show.
Thank you. So as is per usual with regards to the opening segment of the podcast, we came into a part of the plan song. Those who have been watching the podcast for a while will know we had part of the plan's lead singer, Cody, or Wraithbound CA as he goes by on Twitch, on the podcast on episode 4, so about 8 weeks ago. We talked, music, DMCA, because that was a big thing with regards to Twitch overall. One of the things that came out, I think, just before that, or maybe just after it, was the VOD channel thing with OBS. But one of the things that he said on that is that part of the plan love to see creators using their music. They love to see what people can do with regards to their music. And one of the things that has been said a couple of times by a few artists is that, do you think artists don't want to see you hit a nasty clip on their track? They do. It's the record labels. But as the music is produced by part of the plan themselves, I think it might even be Cody that does all the music production as well, if I remember correctly anyway. They aren't subject to, that, licensing, if you will. The only licensing you potentially need is for covers, and they have got a couple of covers, The Hills and someone who I used to know, to name two that I know. But they have bought the rights, so the songs they produced as a result of the covers of those songs are theirs to distribute how they want and see fit, basically. So you won't even get trouble for DMCA from them two either. That was one of the things that he also mentioned on the podcast. So one of the things I love to do with regards to, because obviously we use that coming into the podcast, is just throw a little bit of a shout out with the part of the plan that we've got up on the screen right now. And then for anybody who is live in the chat, I throw in the two commands that I have in my chat that relate to part of the plan, which is !Cody and !POTP. And POTP command even includes okay, I think I might have broke that.
When it loads.
Yeah, or when it loads.
Well, the bot's not behaving, also your title's not behaving.
Ah, bollocks. Knew I'd forgotten something.
When do commands ever work, anyway?
Well, the first one worked.
Kit, see if you can put the second command in, and I'll get
Try and see if it wants caps. Well, that worked.
Hey!
There we go. So, and then I can change this. Talk shows podcast. There we go. I knew I'd forgotten something. I changed everything else.
We forget something every time.
Yeah. And even the weeks that I do remember everything, like last week, I give the little intro and then I tell you to say hello and forget to unmute Discord. So yeah, something happens every fucking week.
One week we will actually know what we're doing.
You've been haunted, Trap. That's all it is.
we've been at it 12 weeks now and still haven't got it. It's kind of a tradition at this point. Let's face it. I am just going to do this. There we go. Right, everything should be a-okay now.
Hey,
Okay, but
looks good to me.
so as Kit
On
has
with
put
the
the
show.
command in the chat, there is the clip from said podcast with Rafe that sort of gives their stance on people using their music. So if anybody who's watching live, you can, look at that. I'm considering even putting a link of that in the about section on my Twitch, just so like if anybody comes to my Twitch as a result of the YouTube side of the podcast, or you put the links in the description of the Spotify and that as well, don't you, Kit?
Some of them, the problem with that being that some of the platforms do actually respect links and some of them don't. So,
Well.
which ones actually get them as links is basically
Yeah.
potluck.
Well, anyway, it may be there. I'm considering it. I took something that Yassine, a good friend of mine from Singapore who plays a lot of Apex. I took something from him, like a piece of advice he told me to put, which is put in like PC commands in my chat. So you do PC now, it'll say that I run 2 PCs, and then it'll tell you 2 commands that you can put in to find out which the specifications of each PC. So yeah, he recommended I do that, and I've done that. So.
I only run one, but I've got the info about it in me panels.
Yeah, I thought about doing it in there, but I keep forgetting, and it's like, well, my panels don't look great as it is. I need to like actually get someone to do some panels, but speaking of panels, see, I've got Driders.
We see on screen.
I've got Driders about section open right now. For anybody who is listening on Spotify and the other podcast platform. Obviously you can't see this, but Drider, we usually ask guests to give a little bit of an introduction into who they are, what they do on the platform, regards to main game, any other games you might play, Twitch history, and just basically tell everybody about yourself and where you're coming at your opinions that will be later, expressed in the podcast, where you're coming at from. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, man. Oh right, well that's fine then. I can quite happily talk about myself. It's probably one of the very few things I can do very well, which is why I'm a streamer. So, yeah, obviously to anyone listening, hi, yep, I'm Drider. I mostly operate on Twitch. I'm in the makings of doing a YouTube channel, which will come much later. But most people will know me as DriderGames. Variety streamer. I'm from Devon, the UK, United Kingdom. Mostly stream stuff like Destiny. At the moment, it's been kind of a mix between Destiny, Call of Duty Zombies, lots of survival horror games and stuff, which is on my stream on the Sundays mostly, which is spooky Sundays, and then going over to stuff like Valheim and stuff like that at the moment. In the past, we've done Halo, Smite, and Dragon Age. We've got lots of variety on the channel. If you like any of the games that I've mentioned, or even if you don't, just pop in. My aim is just to create a community of people that just want to come in, have a lot of laughs, wreak some havoc, and just have fun. Just create a community that works well together.
Yeah, and that's a big part of. We've said this on the podcast before, but for anybody who might be, this is the first episode they're seeing or listening to on the podcast platforms. This is a big part of the Rising Lights mantra. Rising tides raise all ships. As I grow, I will raid my friends. As I do raid Kit. I raid you sometimes. I'll raid Dune Marchers when I get the chance. I raided Wiggy Styles the other day. I've raided Grandad in the past, even though he's much bigger than me. It's just, viewership wise. I've raided, Anubis, Pigeon, a bunch of people I see myself as friends with. I just raid them because it's I'd rather take people that have come to watch me over to a stream I like, and because the way I see it, and I've always seen it this way, with regards to like raids at the end of your stream is it's better to raid someone and then, you know that you give a damn about their stream, and that, you know, they might get a little bit like, I've had friends who I've gone to raid them one day and they've had like 9 people watching, and I'll scroll over my because I have my view account hidden, and you know what, Anubis mentioned this last night on the Vibecast, because he does that now with Amaze, which I employ anyone who enjoys like either of those two's content to fucking check out that podcast is amazing. But Anubis mentioned it last night on the Vibecast. He basically said like some of his pet peeves with regards to like chat, for instance, is he has his view account hidden, so he's not focusing on it, so that if it is, you know, high, he's not getting shy and worried and stumbling over his words. He's just talking to people as he would talk to them if it was one person, if there's like 50 people in his chat. Do you know what I mean? But so I have mine hidden basically for the same thing. I'd rather just talk as if there was 50 people here, even if there's 0 people here. But he said there's one of his pet peeves is people coming in and mentioning, oh, why you normally have like 50 people, why is there nobody here? Or wow, you've got 27 people in here, what the fuck's going on? Like, who wrote it, who raided, who hosted it? You know what I mean? He basically turned around and says that's one thing that he feels like needs to be unilaterally across Twitch understood. If you're a viewer, do not mention view count at all. It should be like an unwritten rule. Do you know what I mean?
It's not something that you would even need to mention.
Exactly. So I wanted to get that out there for like consistency's sake. It's a podcast I watch. Anubis is like I said a minute ago, is someone I consider a friend. I would like to approach him to be on here, or at least watch a couple of episodes of this podcast, and maybe give us a few pointers on how we could improve it. From his experience with doing the Vibecast with Amaze, you know, because one of the things we mentioned last week, that the filler and Maru, who was like the lead on the filler with Nagi. We mentioned that obviously he sort of took a step back now from streaming, and the filler therefore is going to be essentially cancelled going forward. The filler and the Vibecast were 2 of my inspirations in coming up with a format for this podcast. So that is something I look at and I'm like, I really wish I could go on it. For one, they start too late for me, so I couldn't, potentially. But also, it's something I look at and I'm like, okay, where have they made differences and changes to make it different each time? And you know, obviously we do cover a little bit of a news aspect of Destiny and Twitch, and we have different guests on every week, but there is a certain thing you can't just like listen to us constantly talking. There is going to be differences that we're going to have to try and, you know, at some point, not right now because, you know, at the moment the format's working and we want to keep that going, but at some point there will be like upgrades to the whole experience of the podcast that we can make, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it's sort of about striking that balance and like having something different for each episode.
Exactly.
But having enough consistency, something that sort of stays the same across them all, so that someone who like comes and listens to like episode 5 knows that if they don't listen for a while and then come and listen live to episode 12 or 13 or whatever, that they're going to enjoy it.
Exactly. But yeah, so like I said, I respect Anubis, and like I said, I would love to potentially get him on at some point, but I mean, I'm looking at the document that me and Kit have got, and I added my list that I had written down in a book from before, you know, basically early planning stages of the podcast is who I was going to ask. And I'm looking, I put that into the document, and I'm now looking at all the names like written out, and I'm like, yeah, we've got a hell of a list to get through, and we're adding to it every time we ask somebody, who do you want to see on the podcast? So when we get to that later,
plan anything. Like,
yeah,
you just plan something and it either goes completely fine, which never happens, but it's all about a learning curve. I think with this, it's the same with any type of creative content that people do, especially on the internet. Like trial and error, like it can go bad, like to the point where you're like, right, we need to change something. But if it's not and it's going well, and you're getting the nice viewership, you're getting a nice community going, like it's so nice to see it flourish. And those plans that you've got, like, doesn't mean that you're never going to get them. You might get them in a week, you might get them in a month, you might get them in a year, but you never know where this podcast is going to be.
It's funny you should say that as well. It's funny you should say that as well, because one of the things I really like, one of the mindsets that I really subscribe to that comes from Amaze is that one of his big like slogans that he's used ever since he got partnered on Twitch, right, is the check mark is a checkpoint. As in, that check mark of being a partner should never be your goal, because once you get there, you will slow down or completely quit, essentially. Do you know what I mean? You should always be should always be aiming higher. So
I agree. That's a philosophy I can totally get behind. Not just in like, people listening. That's not just like us as streamers and you guys, the podcast, stuff like that. That's stuff you can do in life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, in life in general.
If your goal is to rent a flat or buy a house, like, that's the first step. You've then got to fill that house. You've then got to make it into a home. Like, it's the same as your communities. You've got to find your community members, and you've got to make it a community place to be. You've got to make it so that those people everyone's getting along, everyone's having fun and stuff like that. It's all a stepping stone.
Yeah, exactly.
Tiny little drops in the water that make up the whole entire sea or ocean. Like,
and that's where the rising tides comes from.
There you go. See,
he's already on the same fucking wavelength, Kit. That's where the rising tides came from in the analogy, and the rising ships that we use. I was just basically fed up of seeing the hashtag support smaller streamers all over Twitter, and like it's so obvious what it's about. Do you know what I mean? It is use this hashtag, and you're a smaller streamer. And anybody who wants to support you will come and support you, because they'll see hashtag support smaller streamers and they're like, oh, well, they're a smaller streamer. I'm a smaller streamer. I'm going to support them. Like, they may support me, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's too many people. It started to look to me like people were using hashtag support smaller streamers as a follow for follow mechanism. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, it's a bit too obvious of what it means. So I was like, how can I come up with something where I can embody the exact same mentality, but not have it so obvious? So it's not going to just be hashtag support small streamers or hashtag support small streamers unite or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So the rising ships, the hashtag rising ships, I was like, okay, there's an old English saying, obviously, all of us are from the UK, so we probably all know it, which is that rising tides raise all ships. Because if one person in the ocean of people in the country, in the world, is, working to better the entirety of mankind, then the likelihood is that we will raise mankind as a whole to a whole new level, and that's the raising the ships. So like, we're all little droplets, we're all mini communities across Twitch. We're all, as you just said, drops in the ocean. And so I was like, I ran with it from there. So
the way you expressed that was on a very large scale with a lot of people.
yes,
And going with a lot of people, there seemed to be a lot of people watching a stop sign.
for some reason. And I
For
love
some
the
reason.
transition kit.
Thanks. I was kind of wondering how I was going to take that. I was like, you know what? There will do. There's a great point. Let's get into some topics. So
Yeah.
first one of the day. There's a Twitch stream. What was it called? Of course, stop sign cam. Wonderfully descriptive. Basically, just someone's got a camera pointing out of the window at a stop sign.
What? I'm just trying to think. What are people trying to watch this for? Are they looking for a spider crawling across, a bug landing on it, a bird flying into it? Like, enlighten me.
I saw this, right? So, Intrepidus sent me some of the stuff that we're going to be like covering on this podcast, and this was the one that kind of made me stop and think about what the hell goes on Twitch sometimes. Right.
Now, tell me that pun wasn't intended. Tell me that pun wasn't intended.
It actually wasn't, and then I said it and it kind of clicked. So, but no, and it's amazing the amount of stuff you can get on Twitch like this.
Oh man!
And like, if you just go into the browse section on Twitch, you will find stuff like this all over the shop, and it's amazing. You can have such a laugh going through this sort of stuff on Twitch. You really can.
Especially with something like sort of as mundane as this, because you look at it and you go, why would anybody watch it? And then you go and look and you see. But like you click on it and you're like, who would be watching this? And you look at like the number of people in the chat, and like they had a command on this where you could make a list of all of the car colours that had gone through the stop sign.
What?
Yep.
Oh my god!
Unfortunately, when I tried to load it,
And there were people actually using the command. And the next thing you know, you're sat there. You're one of them. You just sat there watching it.
Yeah.
You become part of the flock. One of the sheep just staring at the stop sign. Oh god!
And then the thing is you look at the clock and then you like sit there and watch it for a bit, and then you look back and like 3 hours have gone by. You're like, whoa!
Yes.
What did I even do for all that time?
Yeah, where did the time go?
It's not like it's a particularly busy junction, you know. It's not like I'm like coming off a highway or whatever. It's just a camera pointing up someone's house.
Is there anything on here for the amount of numbers?
No, not in the article. What I might do actually, if I click this here watch on Twitch button and then click on videos, let's see. 206,000 views on the stream from 2 days ago.
Wait, what?
Oh,
wow. Okay, I really need to improve at Destiny's PvP, I guess.
No, what you need is to get yourself a camera and point it at the stop sign.
Oh, fucking Jesus.
I live right on a high street in Newton Abbot, somewhere close.
You should like keep track of all the people going in and out of the shops.
Yeah, easily. There's and I live above a tattoo studio as well, so that could also be an interesting one.
I live next to one.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's one of the things, isn't it? And it probably wasn't intentional when they set this up. Is that people start looking like. You live practically on that high street, right? You know what's there. It's just sort of like everyday boring stuff. But then you take a second look at it and go, "Oh, that could be interesting to other people." Or they might want to look at that. You know?
After we've been talking about this, I've kind of like got a mini theory in my head of how this YouTube channel came to be. I think someone's like started to set up Twitch, gone live by accident, and left their camera looking out the window. And they've just been live
or just
for like
knocked it off their PC screen.
Yeah, like.
And then they've come back and like people are watching it, and you're just like, well, may as well set a channel up for it.
Yeah, I genuinely think someone has just knocked off a camera or something like that.
It's not something you.
Hours by accident.
It's not something you do like look at and go, there's a stop sign there. I'm gonna live stream it and see if people come and watch. Do you know what I mean? It's not generally something you think, oh, there's might be a market out there for that.
Now, here's the interesting thing: is it's sort of ramped up. It's sort of like one of those sort of viral trend things that you see because if you look back at them, right? These VODs was like what was 27 hours. That only had 357 views. That was like last week. And then 9 days ago, they had one with 453. 8 days ago, 1.3k. 6 days ago, 51k. 4 days ago, 443,000 views on that video, and that was 47 hours. So they seem to be going in like 48-hour bursts.
What? Why? I
don't know.
I can't wrap my head around it. Why would you want to watch a stop sign? Like I said,
although actually it's probably the same
bug going across it. Are they looking for a bird to smash into it? What?
I think it's like, have you seen the number of like dodgy driver videos on YouTube?
Oh yeah.
Like I think it's the same market as those.
Yeah,
like the trying to watch people go to the stop sign or like watch people sort of swerve to avoid each other and stuff.
Well, have you ever like something like you stood outside of work or you're like you're on break or something like that, where you just you like stood there or sitting there with like a couple of mates or something. You're at this sort of like the stop sign sort of view, and like sometimes you just sit there and you watch people, and just some of the idiotic things people do periodically just makes you laugh, and then you can just sit there. And, especially as we're all British here. Like we love to moan.
Yeah.
Like we love to just criticize people. I think it's just ingrained in our DNA at this point, and stuff like this is just prime example. I bet 90% of those people are British,
with the exception of the person who set it up, because that is not a British word.
No,
I don't know if it is.
It says it's in Massachusetts, Salem, Massachusetts.
Yeah, Salem, Massachusetts. But I bet like 90% of the ones that are actually commenting and like complaining and stuff like that are probably 90% British.
Oh yeah,
and they might be all going to be called Karen.
Okay, that last bit I doubt, but the Britishness is very much there.
No, it's insane. It's the same sort of thing as if you typed into Twitch right now, what was it, sleep cam or something like that. You can literally, I typed it in the other day, and there was, I think it was like 40 odd K viewers of someone watching someone sleep on Twitch.
We've got trying to stop.
We'll talk about that later, about that sort of thing. But I just want to move on with how British that was. The stop sign thing you mentioned was, in that we'll carry on with that British theme. On to Lando Norris is a British Formula One driver.
Aha! Twitch rise.
Yes. So there have been. This says Formula One streamers, but they do also cover like Formula 2 and stuff as well. So, racing drivers have. I won't say they've had a bit more spare time, but there was some delays and stuff in last year's season. And with people obviously not being like out and about and stuff, they found other ways to keep themselves busy, and that is with Formula One esports. So playing like F1 2020. Let's see. So this says here, over the past few months alone, Twitch has recorded a 115% increase in the number of hours broadcast of the 3 biggest sim racing games.
I know Assetto Corsa because one of Baggy's friends, who I watch as well from time to time, because he does a lot of like Fiend, who we had on episode 2.
Played a lot of everything.
He has been on the platform for a while. He's been actively trying to create content for a while. So he's got some things he basically like do's and don'ts. So at the beginning of his streams, before he goes and plays any games, he does talk like, okay, let's talk through what do's and don'ts of Twitch and do's and don'ts of what this particular game compared to that particular game, and all sorts of stuff like that. He's called the Real Darth Guy.
Mm.
He's a brilliant dude. It's a lot of fun to watch as well. But yeah, once he finishes those, he goes on to like Forza, and then he'll transition like to warm up, and then he'll transition over to Assetto Corsa, and he's actually like actively trying to compete and stuff as well. So I know that game through him.
Yeah, that was pretty much all. Sorry, Drider, I'll just finish this and then we'll get to that. But that was pretty much all there was to this. Really, is that a lot of people who do racing for a living are starting to play racing games on Twitch and get into the competitive racing, e-racing, esports like stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, literally. What I was going to say on it was that, like, I've not been a massive sport like watching fan, not really ever. I mean, I've worked. I'm a bartender. I'm a cocktail bartender. So working in pubs and stuff like that, I do get to hear and see a lot more of it than I would if I was working somewhere else and I wasn't around it. I wouldn't know anything about it really. But I've noticed throughout like the lockdown and stuff, a lot more Twitch stuff has come up with a lot more sport driven stuff. So like people doing commentaries on matches or people doing commentaries on races and talking about the races and stuff like that. And then just seeing like all of these guys like go in and there's Twitch streams of them playing, these tracks that they've obviously physically raced on and stuff like that before as well. It's just, I guess it's kind of killed that boredom that we've all felt.
And not only that, but they're getting some of the top people that post, quick times, lap times on the game to be involved in like Formula 1 races as well. Like, maybe not ones that actually like have a Formula 1 professional scene effect, but they'll be doing little tournaments essentially on the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what we're going to say. Particularly with F1, there were, and the reason that I used like British, particularly with Norris, is because he's got 775,000 followers on Twitch, and he doesn't just stream F1; he does stream other games like COD and Minecraft and stuff. But what I was going to say is that a lot of the drivers that also do the online racing, they're really cool. Like, a lot of the time you see them all getting heated on track and everything. And because of the way you can have, the wheel and pedals and everything set up, it does make it pretty easy for them to compete at the same or a similar level to how they would compete in the actual car, even if the the handling stuff is slightly different in the game to how it would perform on track, because they're constantly evolve and you can't constantly keep rolling out patches all the time to keep them exactly how they would perform. So seeing how you've got,
I'm a mechanic by trade, so and I know I can track your car to perfection, like legit. Your wheels can't go any straighter. It is specifically designed for your car, the degrees that your wheels are at. Yeah, and by the time you drive it outside of the garage, that tracking's out already.
But obviously, with having like such sort of minute changes, even to like losing like 5 grams, because these cars are so light already, that could save you, I don't know, half a tenth a lap. But when everyone's sort of like, when you don't have those constantly evolving changes and you've got the virtual car, you then sort of have a slightly more level field, because you've got people who have been playing these esports tournaments for a while and have been used to driving that specific virtual car, so they know exactly how the car's going to perform. And then you've got, the actual F1 drivers, like they're great at what they do. They have to be, otherwise, they're not going to live very long in their sport. But they're also not as used to the car. So you've got obviously their skill and the way they handle the move the car and everything, and then you've got other people who maybe wouldn't actually be in Formula One, but because it's sort of not a real car, they can have that sort of edge, and it's actually some pretty good competition.
Yeah. This is something I've seen like footballers do as well. There was a video, I think, or a Twitch stream once that basically a prominent FIFA streamer by the name of Castro. He's friends with like Optic Hex and a couple of the people that have been, associated with Hex in the past with regards to like Old Men of Optic, like Nade Shot, who now owns 100 Thieves. Excuse me. So Castro's like friends with all those as well, but I actually played FIFA once with a big footballer. I can't remember who it was. It might have been like Ronaldo or something. Obviously over there they call it soccer, so it's but yeah, like I like to see this sort of thing because there's a reason that the people who play the F1 games play those games. There's a reason that the people who play FIFA games play the FIFA games. And it's not just randomly they decided I'm gonna play a football game or I'm gonna play an F1 game. It's because they're probably 90% of the time they're probably a fan of the sport, yeah, or they're trying to get into the sport and have seen the game on offer or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I like that these people that are famous for doing these sports, because we can't argue that a footballer isn't a celebrity, an F1 driver isn't a celebrity. Like, to varying degrees, yes. As a footballer, you're more likely to be known by 90% of the fucking world than an F1 driver because it's such a niche like thing. It's a car. Unless you're a petrol head and into the Formula One section of cars in general, like you're probably not gonna be too bothered about an F1 driver walking down your street. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I know for a fact there's been people who didn't even like football or soccer as the Americans call it. From my school, they didn't like it. But then as soon as they heard that one of my sister's friends, her brother, Wes Morgan, played for Nottingham Forest, because that's the city I'm from, and then he moved to Leicester literally the season that they won the Premier League. As soon as they heard that, they started going around like saying, oh yeah, I'm a big Wes Morgan fan, he's from Nottingham, all this, that and the other. It's like, motherfucker, you ain't even a fan of the fucking sport in the first place. It's literally you're going around saying you're his fan in hopes that his sister hears it and goes, oh, well, I can introduce you if you want, and so you can get some fucking clout. Like, but it's with regards to that, it's like that's a never-ending thing because people are always gonna like. It's the same with like Twitch. That's why I hate, as much as I consider like Grandad Gaming a friend, I consider Anubis a friend, I consider Pigeon a friend. Like I've played a lot of Apex off stream, and when I have been live sometimes, with Pigeon. So I would like, and I've talked to him about things when we've been playing Apex, that like, asking him questions about, streaming and just, yo, can I get your advice on something sort of question. Which I appreciate, he doesn't have to give me any what's it called? Any advice, he could, but he's of the same sort of mindset, supports all his friends and stuff. So, but that's the reason I sort of try and stay away from raiding those people and try and raid the people that are around my level or below. And because one, the likelihood is it's going to make more of a difference to them. Not saying that like Pigeon doesn't appreciate if I raid him with 9 people while he's got 50 people watching, but if I raid my friend who's got 1 person watching and they see a raid come in for 9 people, they're gonna be like, holy shit, oh, okay, like, thanks,
And it's not even that. For me, it's not that they're going to be more appreciative, but that it's going to help them more.
Yeah, there's that. That's what I mean as well. Like, because everybody's going to be appreciative of a raid. Like, it's, for me, as I was saying earlier, it's the highest honor that me as a streamer can give to somebody else. Alright, because if I bring anybody that's watching my stream over to your stream that one says I enjoy your stream enough and feel like your content is valued, not that you should, you know, answer to me, but it's me showing an appreciation from my perspective, but it's then also me turning around and saying, look, I feel like your content needs to have these eyes that it might not have had I not brought these people to you. And like you said, it could help them more. There's been times where, you know, Sev, who we had on episode 1, he shouted me out because we were talking, you know, a while, and then he's gone, you know what, Trep? And then done a shout out. I was like, yo, nice one, man. Like, I appreciate it. You didn't have to. And then somebody from his chat that I've noticed the name says, oh, I followed your Trep. I'll look forward to catching one of your streams. And then like a day later, 2 days, whatever, a week, whatever it may be, they decide to pop in my stream and they either lurk or they chat away. And that's how, if you ever see someone in my chat called Auntie Key, that's how that started.
Yeah.
She came from Sev. And like, I appreciate it for one. And it's like, you can just, and that's again goes back to this podcast. Like, for me, a big part of it is, I said, this is how I pitched it to Kit when I asked him to be my co-host. Is like, I am part of a shit ton of fucking communities, and half of the people I'm like chatting to on a daily, weekly, you know, a regular basis don't even know the others exist. Like, there are occasions where, you know, I'm chilling in Lee's chat and he's playing with Otis, and Otis knows I'm in both chats. Like, same with Dune Marchers and Five Club. Like, they all know each other because either, like, Dune, Five, Jimmy, and Otis, they're all in, you know, Just Wipe It. But Lee is their friend as well, like I am their friend. So they know each other. But prior to me raiding Sev with Otis in my chat, Otis didn't know Sev. But now every time I go into Sev's chat, do I see Otis there? Like, do you know what I mean? It's building each other up and connecting each other. and that's, again, goes back to the vision, essentially, for the Rising Lights podcast.
The community that we've all been so passionate about. We're
Exactly.
all passionate about creating a loving, caring, potentially havoc-ridden community that we all love.
And on the sense of camaraderie and community and havoc, how long should a stream be?
Yeah. So, I know Drider's got some things to say about this one. So,
do you want to take a lead on this?
I'll talk a little bit about it. I've got a few kind of like things for and against it. When I saw it on the thing, I was a bit confused of what it meant, and then I looked up the actual article that obviously you guys are showing to do with it. Obviously, I think some of the guys who might not be able to see it visually will be able to find a link somewhere to it. But I think kind of the
to be fair, if you just
rundown
search,
of it would be,
if you search
like, you can just
Ludwig
search
subathon, like, you're gonna find it. To be honest, Ludwig is one of the biggest streamers on the platform, if I remember correctly. He's somebody that's he's had some interviews with Harris Heller as well on the Alpha Gaming YouTube channel. So if you want to find a link to his Twitch channel, you're likely gonna find it in the description of any of those videos. So, but yeah, carry on, Drider.
and it's basically running down like obviously he's done a stream where people have been following, subscribing and stuff like that, and the more people that do it, the longer he goes. And he pretty much, I don't think he ever shuts off his stream. He'll just go off stream, go and do his daily tasks when he needs to, and then just comes back and does some stuff on his PC. And he's been streaming for like days sometimes. So then what people have then been asking is, you know, is there a length of your stream that could be considered hazardous? And I kind of
It
thought
says
to myself,
here, at the time of writing, he has more than 72 hours left on the marathon, with time continuing to be added as more viewers tune in to Ludwig's compelling brand of dried wit and range of content, because he is a huge variety streamer.
Now, what I will give him credit for here, in doing this, is that he is still making sure to take breaks and stuff.
Yeah.
No, he's not trying to be in shot doing stuff 24/7 for the duration. You know, if he needs a break, he takes a break.
Yeah, essentially what you're saying is he's going about his daily life, but he's making it stats-wise look like he's been there the entire time. And then obviously people are subbing, following, etc., etc. That increases the chances of the stats looking that way. So he's essentially trying to say, look, Twitch, there's this huge outlier of a stream I've got that's got all these subs and stuff, and the fact that there isn't a limit on the amount of time you can be live in like a 24-hour, 36-hour, 48-hour, whatever long period you want to, like in a 3-day long period, you should not be live for more than a day. Do you know what I mean? Like, or 2 days, for argument's sake, because there are people that do 36-hour streams, which I get. But
yeah.
So
he's bringing attention, which is a good thing. And as you said, Kit, he's taking breaks, doing his daily life as he's doing it.
The other half of this, though, the other way you can spin it, though, is that while he is still taking breaks and making sure to like be eating and stuff, while he's still making sure he's eating and doing everything that he needs to do to like survive and everything, you know, he's still making sure that he is physically, you know, healthy and fit and stuff.
Yeah.
It's got to be mentally taxing knowing that it's still going. You know, anytime he does like need to go and take a break or whatever, is he like cutting that short? You know, it's draining in his head, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's not only that as well, but you got to be thinking, like, even when he goes, let's say he just goes down the shop, right? He looks at the timer and goes, all right, there's an hour left on that, for argument's sake. Obviously, it said at the time of writing there's 72 hours left. So I don't know how the amount of subs, whether it's, you know, oh, somebody gifted 70 subs, there goes 70 hours. Or, you know, if there's a 10-minute timer allotted to each sub, or, do you know what I mean? I don't know how it's worked because I'm not looked. But let's say he looks at that and goes, oh, there's an hour left on there. I can nip to the shop, I can be back. And then he's gone for an hour. It's going to be on his mind the entire time he's out. Oh, shit, you know. For this to actually work and me to stand by my word of there only being an hour left on that timer when I left, I need to be back in an hour to make sure that if nobody else does any subs or anything, that the stream shuts down on time. Otherwise, people are going to be like, look, he pulled this stunt and, you know, he's not a man of his word. He said he was going to be back in an hour because that's how long the timer had left, and it took him an hour and a half, ha ha ha, you know. It's going to be in his mind the entire time how long's left on that timer, like you said, Kit. And therefore, yeah, it's going to be mentally taxing. Like, the amount of times...
that's where moderators come in as well.
Yeah, the amount of time, though, where I've turned around and said, okay, I'm going to go pee. Like, this is on my stream. I say, I'm going to go pee, right? I have to go out my bedroom door, which is behind me. I go down, like, a curved section of the stairs, and then straight down to the stairs. Then there's a hallway, like a long hallway, you know, typical of any house. And then like middle of the house, the flat, there's the toilet right near the front door. All right, I can do that entire thing, go to pee and come back in the time it takes me to load into the tower in Destiny, which is about a minute. Right? That's because of all the years I spent playing Call of Duty where I would need to pee whilst playing a game, and then I would like, okay, well, I don't want to leave the lobby I'm in because I'm slapping these kids. I need to pee in a minute because that's how long you had left in a lobby before it loaded the next map. I essentially specifically trained myself for my bladder to be fast as fuck. But anyway,
and I think the kind of
anytime I take longer than that though, this is the point I was getting to. Anytime where I'm like downstairs, I go pee and like, I don't know, my missus is in there or my son, and I'm like, God damn it, I said I was gonna be a minute and now I'm going to be about 5. Come on. Like, it's on my mind. Shit, I'm still fucking alive and I said I was gonna be a minute. And, you know, I'm not a minute, I'm 5. Like, so that's where I'm coming from with this. Like, it's gonna be on his mind the entire time. How long's left on the timer? How long's left on the timer? And it's going to take a toll.
At the time of recording, there was 27 hours left on the timer.
Oh, is there?
That article was published 6 days ago.
Wow. This, and like, the kind of thing is, like, I think if you put this sort of ideology into us, anyone who's listening that's a streamer and is gonna stream for, either whether it's just to do a general long stream or you're doing a fundraising stream, charity, so on and so forth. And I don't think Twitch should have a limit. I think they should just, it should be up to the content creator to make sure that
but
you're
at the same
looking after
time,
yourself.
that's what I'm saying. This is the way we sort of brought this topic, is that maybe there should be a length rule. Even if it's something as general as, like I was saying a minute, like 5-10 minutes ago, as, okay, in a 3-day period, you have to not be live for 36 hours. Like, in total. Do you know what I mean? You can go live for 12 hours, then go off for 12, then go live for 12, and then not go live for another 8, go live for 4, not go live for 4, then go live again for the remainder of your 36 hours, which would be another, 8 hours or 4 hours, whatever it may be. In a sense,
and I think,
to make it so that you are forced to take breaks, even if you wanted to stream the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? I've seen some people.
I think maybe, like they've got with the scheduling system, like you can put out your own schedule. Maybe you have to do like a note inside that schedule that does, I want to do 24-hour streams, and then Twitch then logs that and goes, okay, and gives you like little helpful reminders and stuff like that. And maybe you have to not get confirmation from like a Twitch body or something like that for it, but for maybe there to be an automated service that kind of goes, yes, okay, you can stream, just so that they can log it, just so that something in the server can watch and kind of watch over you and make sure that you are looking after yourself.
So even if it's like a little sort of checklist things, like, okay, here's things you should be aware of that might happen.
Yeah, so like a if you're going to work in a bar, you get a list of stuff, you have like a thing to sign, a waiver or whatever, that says, you could get cut by glass, you could get this because of, this is the stuff that could happen. Maybe it's something like that. You sign a waiver or something like that, just to say, I understand that I'm going to be streaming for a long time. I need to keep myself hydrated. I need to keep myself, well fed. I need to make sure that I'm taking breaks every now and again so that my mental prowess isn't, or like my mental health isn't going to deteriorate halfway through the stream. But I think that's the kind of way they should go. I don't think they should go in the way that to stop people doing stuff like this, because the more you stop people doing something, the more they're going to exploit the system to do
All
it
right,
anyway.
then coming at it from another perspective, right? Think about what people typically, at least in the gaming space, will do if they're doing a 24-hour stream, right? Or 36 or 48, whatever it may be. They will get a shit ton of energy drinks, and one, they're not great for you, so you shouldn't be having that many of them anyway. And I'm speaking from experience, so I'm gonna fucking lay this down right now.
I think I'm guilty of that as well.
I did a few years back. I don't think the VOD is even on my stream. I don't think my channel. I don't think I highlighted it, even though I should have done because it was for charity. Basically the year before, the year or 2 years before, I can't remember when exactly I did it. I'd lost my grandfather to cancer. Alright. And so Macmillan Cancer Research used to do a thing called Game Changers. And I think now it's called something different. But it's still the same. Yeah, it's still the same program essentially, but it's you basically do a 24-hour stream. It used to be that it was 24 hours regardless, but I think they've changed that now as well. It's like you can just do a charity stream.
When I last looked, they could do bursts of 12.
So I did a 24-hour stream. I was working at the time. It would have basically been about 5 years ago because it was before I moved here. And I was working at the time in the restaurant that I mentioned to you earlier, Drider, which for anybody who's been in my streams before, I've mentioned I used to work for Burger King in my city. And anybody who would say keep the change, use it for yourself, or put it in a tip jar or put it in a charity box or something, I would say, okay, I'm doing a charity stream for Macmillan Cancer Research. I'm gonna put this in this drinks cup, and I'll accumulate it all, and then I will double it and put it as a donation from all the customers that have given me the tips, and then I'm doubling it out of my own pocket. And put it as a donation into this thing. So I ended up making basically, it was like £4.90 or something like that overall. There were times where the management didn't like that I was doing that, and so they sort of took the drinks container that I had all this change in and put it into the tills or whatever. Or I was off for a couple of days. I came back and it was all gone. Like the drinks container had been chucked away. I didn't know what had happened to all the change. But I'd been keeping a checklist anyway. In a little notepad on my phone. So I knew how much had been given by the customers regardless. And so I ended up putting in a tenner because I was like, well, I'll round the £4.90 to a fiver and then double it. So it's a tenner, boom. And then obviously it's my mum's dad that I was essentially doing it for. So she put in a tenner. And I was like, okay, even if nobody else donates anything towards this charity stream, I'll be happy because I'll know that a charity that does a lot of research into the disease I lost my grandfather to is getting help, even just a little bit. And so I went into the stream. I had 12 monsters that I'd bought as well, because they were on offer at £1 a can. I was like, yep, £12, boom, I'm golden, let's go. And I'll tell you now, in the space of 18 hours, I think it was actually the space of 15 hours, I drank all 12 of those cans. And for 3 of those, yeah, it was 15, because for 3 of those hours, I was playing with the hugest migraine I have ever experienced in my life. And long story short, I cut the stream short. Like, I had to finish at 18 hours because I couldn't go any longer with that pain. But just before I did, my friend from Australia, Tally, we used to call her, but her name's Talexia. She used to stream. I don't know whether she still does anymore. I haven't kept up with her. Should reach out, sort of thing. But anyway, she also donated what was the equivalent to £10. So it was like 12 or 15 Australian dollars. And said, and bear in mind as well, Macmillan is a UK-based cancer research charity. So I don't think any of the money that they raise goes anywhere else but the UK. She turned around and basically just said, you know what, kick cancer's ass, let's fucking go. And so obviously I appreciated it a hell of a lot, but it was also like, holy shit, someone from outside the UK also came in and fucking donated just because they're friends with me and they, you know, they support the cause, sort of thing. So, but yeah, I felt like I'd let people down because it was advertised. I'd said I was doing the 24 hours. I'd said it was easy because I was a night owl. I was constantly playing for 36 hours straight most of the time. Like, do you know what I mean? It was easy for me. But the problem was, I hadn't accounted for was, 1, the energy required to be live. Like, people think live streaming is just easy. It's not. Like, you have to have a certain degree of energy about you. 2, I hadn't counted on the effect the energy drinks were going to have on me, because I didn't really have ever have any side effects when I just drank them normally, and I would drink 4 to 5 a day normally. And like, then also, you know, the sitting there for so long, having to go and get stuff to eat and all this, that, and the other. And then, as you said, Kit, with and Drider, with the mental state as regards to what's going on with Ludwig and then the extended periods of time, I'm just sat there the entire time. Like, the only reason I was able to play for 3 hours with that throbbing headache was I was there thinking, I said I was doing 24 hours and I'm doing it for my grandfather. If I didn't have that motivation, I'd have finished at 15 hours as soon as that fucking migraine started. Do you know what I mean? Like, but
and it's as long as you've got.
It was when I got to the 17-hour mark, I basically turned around and says, do you know what? There's all these bad things that are said about energy drinks, you know, increase heart palpitations, they could potentially fucking kill you. And at the time I smoked, right? So one thing people don't realize is smoking cigarettes increases your heart rate. Drinking energy drinks increases your heart rate. Doing both at the same time is practically fucking suicide, because your heart is beating at such a speed where you are likely to have a heart attack. And I was doing both. I did both for a huge number of years. Like 5, 6, well, had I smoked the entire time up to right now, I'd be on 10 years. I quit smoking for a total of a year, and so I quit for a year when my daughter was first born. She's 3 now. But after she turned 1, essentially, I got a job where I didn't like it, and the stress got to me, and I started smoking again. And I basically smoked practically until she was 3. So, in a sense, I've had a year's break, and then from November last year until now, I've quit again. So you're talking, what, 5 months? So a year and 5 months in the past 16 years. Because I started smoking when I was 12 years old. Alright. When I really kicked up actually, smoking 10, 15, whatever a day, I can't even remember, was when I was 18. So if you want to go from that, that's still 10 years. So, and I'm drinking energy drinks the entire time. So I've probably taken a few years of my life off me because of it. But the point being, I thought about, and the 17-hour mark, I was like, or 17 and a half hours, like, this could kill me. I'm smoking, I'm drinking these energy drinks. I could, keel over and die of a heart attack sat right here. And the only people who are really going to know is if my mum checks on me, or because I was living at my mum's at the time, or people that are in my chat. And I didn't have what would technically be considered like any regular viewers at that point. It was more so like just sort of family and friends that I'd met through other streams. So like Telexia, and then Karma, my cousin, were always in my chat. That's about it. And my friend Pash as well. But yeah, and so I was like, for one, this could kill me. Would my grandfather want me to do that in his name, and in the name of raising money for the this charity? No, he wouldn't. So I made the executive decision to just turn around and went, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to cut the stream short. I'm gonna have to kill it. And we'll come back like tomorrow if I feel any better. When I wake up, I'm gonna try and sleep this migraine off. And I went and did that. And then I got up in the morning. I still had the little bit of the migraine left. And so I just turned around and I tweeted and I atted Telexia saying thank you for the donation. And then just generically tweeted saying something along the lines of not feeling any better. 24-hour stream ended up being an 18-hour stream. We're just gonna have to leave it there. I hope everybody will appreciate, I didn't want to potentially kill myself on stream through, mistreating my body in such a way. So, and luckily, all the responses were like, hell yeah, dude, you did the right thing, all this, that, and the other. So, like I said, I'm speaking from experience in a sense of going for marathons is not something you should take lightly. It's not something you should, what's the word? Just happen on, just walk into. You should be ready weeks and even months in advance if you can be.
Yeah, and that I agree with. I mean, it's why, even though I've had ideas to run again for a cancer charity, either CRUK or I'm not sure as of yet. But obviously, I'm not currently equipped, either physically to space and everything, or prepared to gear up for such a long time. So if I can. Drider, while we're still on this topic, do you have anything to round up with?
No, I think personally Trep's kind of got the idea out that I was just kind of running with, is that, if you're going to do stuff like this, no matter what cause it is, whether it's for your own cause or for a noble cause or whatever and so on and so forth, just make sure that you're being healthy, man. Guys, gals, kids, old people, whatever, just make sure you're keeping yourself healthy while streaming, and just look after yourself. not everyone's got someone that can look after yourself or look after you for you. So just, your viewers don't want to see you like running yourself into the dirt. They want to see you happy and given the content that they love. And if they're not getting that content, then they're going to go. So keep yourself, fit and healthy as much as as much as you can, and just keep yourself happy. Keep doing what you love to do, and that's what we're doing here. So just keep yourself happy, keep yourself healthy, and I think that's all it should be.
Yeah. Just while we was on that little bit of, I was on that little bit of a rant, by the way. Someone followed my channel, so pure priority. If you're still here, I appreciate that. Doing the podcast. It does go live on YouTube if you wanna, check out any previous episodes, because this is episode 12. But we tried to just, the reason I didn't acknowledge it right away is because I tried to just stay on task with the podcast and only really interact if there's stuff said in chat. So I apologize if you felt like, I wasn't acknowledging you, but this is me now acknowledging it. But yeah.
Wonderful.
Let's proceed while I wait for a response from my fiance if my daughter's ready to come upstairs. The next topic, Apex Legends Global Series. So, Kit, I am so glad that you ended up finding this as a topic for us, because it kind of leads me on to two things. So
go ahead, because I'm not staying on the path.
So number one is obviously the fact that they're doing Twitch drops for the ALGS, because obviously that's Apex Legends Global Series shortened down. Winter Circuit playoffs is a topic that we will discuss and cover as regards to, it being a Twitch topic. But also, as we've covered on previous episodes, I actually have a friend who goes by the gamertag Kotagami, who is taking part in said playoffs. And his team of himself, Mr. Greek God, and Stink TV go by Wally Catchers, and they qualified on the ALGS Winter Series Online Tournament 4. They were knocked out in the quarters and had to rely on certain teams placing certain places in the semis and then eventually the finals of that particular online tournament, which was 2 weeks ago now? No, 3 weeks ago now. Because there was a week break, and then there was last chance qualifiers last weekend, and then I think it's or it might have been last chance qualifiers for EU, and then last chance qualifiers for NA, and then it's anyway. That doesn't really matter. They managed to just sort of, with certain teams placing where they needed them to place, they had to not take part in the last chance qualifier and get into this. So obviously I'm personally going to be watching this anyway because of my friend, but to now know that I'm going to get something for the game and I've been playing it is
potentially a box you can get to drop, because Twitch drops aren't guaranteed to land. It's just okay, while you're watching this you got a chance to pop up and go, hey, here's this item.
Well, this one is timed. It's
is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's like the Call of Duty. I've already looked into it. Once you put the link in the doc, where is it? It says something about So first item is an hour, and you have to be watching the Play Apex channel. Second item, it total increases to 2 hours. You need to watch it live. Third item is 3 hours, and then 4 hours if you want the legendary metal collector banner frame. As we know, he says, from what we know about Twitch drops, this is in total hours, so it is possible to watch for 30 minutes, walk away, and then watch for another 30 later in the the streams, and they will both count towards total. Unfortunately, the drops will only last for 2 days because the playoffs are over 2 days. I believe it's Saturday and Sunday. So you got to keep that in mind, and then obviously the items will show within 24 hours of the event when you next log into the game. So obviously they won't show up on Monday morning, but they'll show up on Tuesday morning, for argument's sake.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously I will be. There's items here for Mirage. From the looks of it, they're all Mirage, which is one of the legend. But yeah, so I was already going to be watching, because whenever I watch the tournaments that are broadcasted by the Play Apex channel as well, because for anybody who doesn't know, when the ALGS online tournaments are on, Play Apex themselves, so EA's Twitch channel essentially that is connected to EA for Apex, is only live and streaming and casting the game that it's and the games that are on the Sunday, the finals. So the qualifiers, then the quarterfinals, and then the semifinals are not like broadcast by the producers of the game, the devs, whatever you want to call them. They have no essentially they have no official broadcast. But obviously people who are taking part are allowed to stream them, but they have to have a 5-minute delay to stop from people, stream sniping and stuff like that. So there's certain rules in place that basically. So I watch Kotigami throughout those, and then on the Sunday, if he's on the Sunday, I have his stream open, watching his perspective, but then I'm also at the same time listening to the ALGS Play Apex channel, doing all their actual commentating and stuff, so I can sort of work out where, in relation to what I'm hearing from Coty's team, where all other teams are, and whether I feel like they're going to move into each other or stuff like that. So but yeah, Pure Priority said hello, so hello, thank you for the follow. We did give you a little bit of a little spiel about 5 minutes ago. But yeah, so this is something I was going to get anyway, but for them to be adding Twitch drops to give people an incentive to watch it is a lot better, because for one, I like that in this playoffs bracket, it's not just your top teams within the Apex pro scene, which is like TSM. TSM actually features a previous Halo pro in Snipedown. He is on TSM's Apex team. Is widely revered as one of the best controller players in Apex. It's not like just TSM, NRG, and teams like that. Brands that are recognizable, and these players are all on salaries, so it doesn't really matter if they win or not. They're getting paid. You know what I mean? It's also got teams like Coty's, who are good players that are, playing against these pro players, playing the best of the best, trying to get noticed and potentially being picked up by one of these pro teams, or another organization that wants to put their foot in the door with regards to Apex Legends, because there might be an organization that isn't currently in Apex. Like, let's use 100 Thieves as an example. I know they're not in it. So let's say they saw one of these teams like Coty's, which is the Wally Catchers, and goes, oh, we want to pick up an Apex team. This team is really good. They've not got an organization behind them. Let's approach them and see if they want to, beat our pro team. Those players could then potentially do this for a living. So I love that this potentially could bring more eyes to not only the pro players, but also to those that are, trying trying to make it as a pro player within this space.
Yeah, the ones you'd sort of put in like a pro-am bracket, sort of bit better than amateur, but not quite at pro.
Like, this is how close. I've just opened up the Liquipedia. I've got them bookmarked. That's how into it I am because of, you know, having Cody there. So let's just have a look at some of these teams real quick, because I can, you know, pull them up. So Solar Fide is a pretty well-known team within the Apex scene. Same with Liquid. Pretty much any team that's got an actual logo, you know, Scarlet Phoenix, NRG, Counter Logic. The likelihood is they're going to have and anyone that's like highlighted blue here, they're gonna have some sort of experience in appearing at the top of Apex's, you know, rankings at some point. So you see how Wally Catchers here are red, and they've got all red names. It's I do believe, unless it's been added. Yeah, look, there's no page for them. Whereas if you go to, you know what, I mentioned him a minute ago. Where's TSM? The Snipe Down. Look at all that. Look at the accolades he's got, and it's all, you know, it's all trivial. Plays both Apex and Halo professionally. I think he's actually quit Halo now, but yeah, there isn't a placement where he's not finished top 3. In the achievements anyway. But like, obviously they're not going to show it. But even if you look at all of the results, is like early one is lowest ones are like, look, really early on in his career sort of thing. 24th, 21st. Since joining TSM, he's been quite consistent in that, you know, they finished quite high in most of the results, because they're widely known to be one of the like great teams. And so what these numbers here as well, where it says like Winter 1 means, that means these two won and came second in the first online tournament. Winter 2, it was the top 3. And then I think one of these might be wrong. Yeah, one of these is wrong, because it was then top 3 for most of them. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. There was 5 last chance qualifiers spots that were filled in, and these are teams that have basically made it just because of the fact that they got so many you know, circuit points, or whatever you want to call them, Apex Pro points essentially. In the top like 3, I think, or top 5 made it. But yeah, so I could talk about that for, you know, for hours. Like, because
to be
of
honest, mate, you can talk all you want, because for me, Apex is something that I've never really been massively in touch with. So hearing it from your perspective, someone who's quite into it, actually makes me want to kind of
well, this is the thing.
get involved and stuff
This
like
is
that.
this
But
is the thing as well.
Before you start, just quickly, I'm just going to run because my creature is trying to get out of the door, so I'm going to go and let them out while you're talking to this bit, and then I'm just going to go and let the animals out, and then I'll be back in a second. All right, I'll let you guys talk about this bit.
Well, basically, I stopped playing Apex like season 1. It's now on season 8, and the seasons last for 90 days, and the game's been out for what did we find out, like 2 years, if I remember correctly?
Something like that.
When we were discussing stats the other month. It was last month. We were discussing stats and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's only because I started watching Cody play at the highest level where I'm like, oh, okay, so now I know how to play certain situations, and I want to get into like playing it myself, and then watching more and more and more. Like I retweeted a clip from Cody the first night that the new split started in ranked.
Yeah.
Which was Tuesday, where he used a longbow, which is a sniper, to shit on people. And you hear him scream, "Get out of my game!" like with such passion. You can tell he loves the game. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's stuff like that, and the fact that his genuine love for the game, and the fact that he's playing at such a high level, and he makes it enjoyable to watch as well. And then even when he's playing pubs, he knows he's better than probably 80% of the people that are in his pub lobby. So what does he do? He plays Octane and literally runs circles around them, essentially making a mockery of, you can't hit me, no. Like, it's so funny and it's so fun to watch. Like, it's amazing. And I honestly will urge anyone to go on that has an interest in potentially watching Apex or playing Apex to go and watch Cody, because he actually makes it so much fun. And
I have something I need to ask you here very quickly. Can you do me a favour and rapid fire the next topic and then the middle two in Destiny?
Yep. Okay.
Yep. Yellow. Sorry about that, guys. My cat was meowing and
We are
scratching
starting to
and
run
trying
a
to get
little
out.
bit low on time. That's no
Yeah.
problem, Ryder.
So-
You didn't miss. We were just talking about.
Yeah, it was basically me saying, if anybody's interested in watching high tier Apex or is potentially getting into Apex, I recommend them watch Cody, just because he makes it so much fucking fun to watch.
Sweet.
So
I'll have to check him out at some point then.
yeah. So this one is Twitch CMO says, users come for the content but stay for the community. Kit, you basically said you included this primarily because it aligns with sort of what we try to accomplish with the podcast, which is building, this community. We've got all these little communities that we are part of. We want to sort of bring them together by having different guests on and have them meet each other through, listening to the podcast. And like 2 weeks ago, I think it was it 2 weeks ago? We had Lee on. He listens to them while he's at work. He might never have met Drider, but when he listens to this podcast, he might check Drider out, and then maybe one day down the line you see them streaming, I don't know, a GM together. I don't know, but it's a bridge essentially. Yeah. It's a bridge there for anybody that's potentially been on the podcast that wants to listen to other people's episodes to go, you know what? This guy seems like a cool guy. I'm going to reach out and see if we can create some content together and collab and bridge our communities more directly and rather than just through the podcast. So
This article was mainly put in because obviously the lines of that. But we've got that quote sort of towards the bottom of the page, not the one right at the bottom of the page, but the one that starts with when people come to Twitch. I'm not going to read it because the background is. Someone could read that for me, please.
When people come to Twitch, you might initially come for that content, but when you get that go live notification from a streamer you love, your instinct is not to come in and just see what's streaming, is to come in and say hi. Scott told Cheddar about why users stick around, which is pretty much true. You might come to Twitch and go, okay, I want to watch somebody playing Destiny or Apex or GTA or Call of Duty, and not have a plan for staying on the platform. You might just want to watch them, a pro Call of Duty player, a pro Apex player, or somebody doing a raid in Destiny, just to see how it's done. And then you get to know the streamer, you enjoy their interactions with the chat, and you ask them some questions, and that's why like part of my outro is always, you know, if you're watching it as a VOD, come in, hit the bell notifications, you know, hit the follow button, the bell for notifications, so you can see when I get live next, and you can come in and ask any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. Because I feel like anybody who asks a question, like for argument's sake, about Destiny when I'm playing Destiny, if I can answer it in a way that makes them feel like they've learned something and make them better at the game in their own eyes, then they're going to enjoy my content and my company a whole lot more. And there is also that chance that, you know, if they get to the end game stuff, because they're brand new to the game, for argument's sake, they get to the end game stuff, they might turn around and go, oh, I need to run a raid. I wonder if, like, Intrepidus is running one. Let me go and ask. And then they come and ask me. And, you know, basically regular people come back in and just keep asking me, you know, things, if that's what they want to do, sort of thing. So, yeah, I really sort of resonate with this. And because you might just go, hi, how do you do this in Destiny? Simple as, how do you infuse something, for argument's sake? And then I could tell you, and then you go, oh, okay, thanks, and they've hit the follow button, which most of the time nowadays just hits the notification bell anyway. Then next time I go live, they get that notification like, do you know what, I've got another question I'm gonna go and ask. They go, hi, and then ask the next question. You just keep coming back. Like, eventually they might just come back because, like it says here, they enjoy the interaction. It's you know, they enjoy the stream, and that's where you get a regular viewer sort of thing from. So,
feeling included is like
exactly
big thing like that as well. Like if someone comes in, it's like you said, how do you infuse them, or how do you do the exotic mission for the Dead Man's Tale? You're like, hold on, my man, we got a space for you. Come on in, we'll show you.
Yeah, exactly.
Just that guy could this, you know.
Hell,
at the end of it, they go, "Oh, thanks." And
Kit, you remember in Legion of Forsaken?
Yes.
Fucking, because you're still part of it, motherfucker. Yeah, I had to get one in there somewhere. What's his name? He was on. I forgot his fucking name now. He was on our raid team, for day one, Deep Stone Crypt. Bollocks. I've got a fucking DM from him not too long ago where he's like basically said he's coming back to watching Twitch and stuff. Bloody Beck. I forgot his name already.
Okay, well, while you find that,
Dempsey. You remember Dempsey, Irish Demon?
Oh yeah.
All right. He came into my chat, randomly found me when
Yeah, I recall that.
when me and Hobo were doing Hobo's version episode of Meet the Legion, which was a similar sort of podcast thing I used to do with the higher up members of our clan at that point, which Kit is still in. Hint, hint. But yeah, he came in. He came in and had never run Whisper. So what did me and Hobo do towards the end of the Meet the Legion episode? We ran him through Whisper, and then he ended up not having a clan. So then Hobo says, "Is it potentially something you might be interested in joining our clan?" And then boom, he's in the clan. Then he's ending up, doing a whole bunch of raids, and having never done a raid, by the way. He almost kept up with my speed in doing all of the raids, because I had not done a raid, and then in a weekend I'd done 3 of them. In a weekend he'd done 2, so he came close. Because our clan had like a structured list in the order you had to do them. That old clan, I'm not in it anymore, but at the time obviously I was, and yeah, he came from that. So it's also a possibility that could happen. You know, you can meet
Oh, you
friends.
didn't try and beat the third one.
I was keep saying the possibilities are endless, guys. Possibilities
Exactly.
endless.
So, as Kit requested, we will quickly rapid fire through. We've got the hotfix.
Not the hotfix. We can have to do the hotfix properly.
Alright.
The ones, the second and third link. We just rush through those. Basically, the first one. Yeah.
I just saw that ad loading. It was
Yeah.
Apex.
The Reddit bit at the bottom.
The Reddit bit at the bottom. Okay,
Yeah,
trials.
basically just where there's the stats.
Trials reached 365,000 players this weekend, making it the highest population the playlist has seen in D2. The previous high was on Burning Shrine way back on week 1, which was obviously when it came back to D2. At 358,866. So obviously that first week when it came back in D2 is majority people looking forward to it anyway, right? Because it's been gone. Like it didn't come back with D2. We had Trials of the 9, and then it's been gone for like essentially 2.5 years in D2, right? And then it comes back. There's all these people flood into it because they're like, oh, I want to see what they've done to change it, right? And it's been slowly dying, and then periodically going back up. So there was a pretty high number of players when Messenger was the free wins. Then this weekend just gone, we had Igneous Hammer, which is a 120 hand cannon in the energy slot, which is pretty good as a gun.
Probably arguably the best 120 energy hand cannon.
So there are obviously going to be players that are just going in to get the loot, and so they're just doing the bounty and they are just jumping off the map and killing themselves, etc., etc. Like just because you'll get progress towards the bounty, and then once you get the bounty, you get the weapon. And if you're doing that for 3 characters, you'll get 3 of them. Now, if you do that for 3 characters but also get 3 wins, you can get 6 of them. And then obviously any tokens that you get through playing and winning and up until you get your 3 wins on a set character, you can then turn into Saint, and it has a chance of giving you another one, depending on what your loot pool is. But it says here, for edit, for those who are saying it's all those people that are just cliff diving, there are 75,000 flawless players, like nearly 76,000 flawless players, 114,000, nearly 115,000 flawless characters, and this ranks 3rd at all time behind week 2 of Trials and the Adept Igneous Hammer week, which was a week? I think it was the week after Messenger, or it was the week of Messenger. I can't remember. Which is the Adept. But it's basically this, and I think if you look at the title, it just made history in D2 since it's like in its first week back, because it was cancelled for 2 weeks. It basically says like more players have engaged with it because of the compelling loot. Like, you put a compelling loot incentive at 3 wins, it doesn't matter what 5 and 7 are or flawless, people are going to be in the playlist. Therefore, meaning the earlier parts of the card should be easier for more people to play and more casualized, if you will. And then you get to after 3 wins and you go to 5 and 7 and maybe flawless game, and that's where you get your sweaty games, your cheaters, recurves and stuff like that. Like
a whole load less of them that weekend. Like,
well, you're gonna be running into less of them earlier on in the card is the point. So, as you said, Drider, we played with one of your friends. Me and you have played once or twice together in a raid, and maybe once in
Trials.
Maybe once in like Iron Banner or something. Whenever Grandad Gaming was getting a squad together and we were both in his chat. But other than that, we haven't really played any PvP together, so we don't know how each other plays. Chewy, who was our third, was a friend of yours, like in your Discord. I'd never played with him, period. We played a couple games of comp. We won a couple games of comp, and we were like, boom, top of the world. We know roughly how each other plays now. Let's go into trials. And we did pretty well. We couldn't get past 2 wins, mind, but we got to the 2-win mark quite a few times.
But then I think some of the connectivity issues and the
exactly,
the lag and the problems that Trials was having that day was a big factor in that matter. And I think that if the servers had been a bit kinder to us and actually run properly, I think we would have got a lot further. But that was it. Like, it was just, you were going up such a vast diversity of people. Like, some people were absolutely stacked and it was really hard to beat them, or we didn't beat them and they actually annihilated us. But then we'd go up against the opposite and we'd absolutely annihilate someone else. But then we went up against people the same skill level and it was a really fun match.
yeah.
I think I had more of a laugh in Trials when it was like that than I have since D1.
Well, this is the thing as well, right? In regards to Trials of the 9, I never went flawless in that. I got 7 wins, but I never went flawless. And I think even then, that was a 9-win system, I want to say. I'm not sure. But if it was a 7, like, I only know I have 7 because of, like, a stat tracker I've got. I went flawless in D1 right near the end, and it was where I was playing with a friend of mine called D, who is a friend I met through Pash, and a friend of his, and his friend was like absolutely cracked at fucking Trials. Like, he went flawless every weekend in D1, and he turned around to me and said, like, at the end of us playing and going flawless, he was like, there are certain positioning things that you need to work on, but if you actually like applied yourself to PvP and Trials and got a regular team together, you could potentially like be like me and going flawless every weekend, because you've got that knowledge. You might not have the shot, but that's something that will come with practice. You might not have the skill, but that's again something that will come with practice. But you've got positioning knowledge and etc. etc. And count, like, if somebody does something, how can you counter it? You've got that mindset sort of thing. I was like, cool. So I was looking forward to potentially with D2 being, this new game, this new meta. We had the double primaries to begin with. I was like, okay, Trials comes, I'm going for it. Right, I'm gonna get a squad, and and then Trials of the 9, I was like, it's not the same. I'm not even gonna bother. No, then when Trials came back, when Trials itself proper came back, I was like, well, here's the thing, I haven't got a squad, and I was on Xbox, and so it was just more a case of like, Kit can attest to it. Like, I was grabbing Deers, which was he was widely known to be one of the best PvP players in the Legion of Forsaken. I was grabbing him and just saying, yo, can we get a third and let's go? Like, I just want to get better. I'm not bothered about going flawless. If we go flawless, then great. If we get 5 wins, then great. We get 7 wins, then great. We only get 3, great. Like, I just want to get us a third. Let's go in the playlist. Let's play some of, what should be the best players in the game. As we go up the card, it will slowly get better people, because obviously by the nature of the card system, you should theoretically not be facing sweats at game 1, but you should be facing them game 7. Do you know what I mean?
That's how it should be. Like,
so that's the way I was looking at it. Is I just wanted to potentially get better. And then I played a couple with him, and it was all during, the low card farming and all that. And so it just basically put me off, and I said, nope, fuck it, I'm out. Then they changed it. With like Beyond Light, I think they might have changed it. I was like, okay, yeah, but there's all this PvE stuff I need to do, so I'm gonna do that. Okay, so all that happens, and then Messenger comes, and I'm hearing on, online. Oh, Messenger can roll with Desperado. Yeah, Messenger can roll with Desperado. That was on Redrick's broadsword, a pinnacle crucible weapon. This is the only other weapon it's ever been on. If you can get one with Desperado, it's going to melt in PvP. So I'm like, okay, I need me one. So I said to Kit and our friend Hans, and I says, I haven't got a squad. I want that rifle. Do you want to play? Like, we'll go in just knowing we're going for the 3 wins and the bounty. That's it. Like, once we get to 3 wins, we'll keep playing until we lose all 3 of our losses on the card. Then that's it. We're out. We change characters. We go again. Do the exact same thing until we get our 3 wins. And so on and so forth. Until we've got all 6 roles that we could potentially get. And then it was the same this weekend. To where I played with 2 random people who I hadn't met, except in Civics chat last weekend. Which was Lumi and Stewie. If either of you see this, because Civics did raid me when he was on the podcast last week. So there is a potential that those 2 people might see this even, or hear this. Appreciate the games, and it was fucking great fun. Then obviously, as I said, I played with Drider and Chewy even the next day. That was a load of fun. To the point where I've turned around to I've added Chewy as a friend, and I've turned around to both of them before I left, and then I've said it since to Drider earlier today. I just want a regular squad that I can go into trials with and potentially get better. And I don't care what loot is at 3 wins, just slowly get better and go for 3 wins every week until we consistently get 3 wins without losing our mercy, and then go for 5 wins every week until we can get there without losing our mercy, and so on and so forth. And slowly just get better at trials and PvP in general as a team. Which Chewy and Trider both have basically said, yeah, we're down, like, sort of thing.
Hell yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at with regard to this, like, loot incentive thing. You put something like this at 3 wins and make it so that it is enjoyable for casual PvP players to play, then there is a chance that some of those players might turn around and go, do you know what? I actually really enjoy this, and I actually really want to get better at this. And so they'll take the squads that they've made, and they'll go, oh, okay, right, let's just work on it together. Let's just get better together. I actually ended up getting my 3 wins on all 3 of my characters with Dune Marchers and Odis. And let me tell you this, when Odis, before the stasis nerfs, because I know we're going to get into those in a minute, he was the Shatter Dive King. And I've seen a clip on Twitter, and I basically just responded to the said clip of the Shatter Dive King lives. Because
we've all got that one, friend. We've all got one of them.
He is amazing with it. He's not like, you can tell the skill and like the methodicness that goes into it from him. It's not, okay, I randomly threw my thing, I froze people, and I'm now going to shatter dive them. He's actually, skillful with it. But anyway, so I got my Igneous through other friends, but I'm looking forward to this weekend if we can get, Drider here and Chewy. If we can get like us 3 together and go and play and get it done and potentially get whatever is at 3 wins this weekend, fucking great. Do you know what I mean?
Let's do it.
Like I said, I just want to have fun with friends, but also get better at the game. So we'll leave the Trials of Osiris right there, because it does kind of lead me on to,
What I'm going to say right now, no, move on. Gonna skip that. Is that where was I going with this segue? I had it all laid out in my head and everything. Oh, right,
Well,
yes.
there you
One part of getting better at the game is understanding the state of the game, and that means changes happen. Patch notes.
Yeah. So patch notes for previous Tuesday. We've got obviously as I said, changes to Shattered Eye were made, Withering Blade. I've seen a lot of people saying that this is an over nerf, and so they should have done one or the other, and shouldn't have done both. And I can actually agree with that, to be honest. Having played my hunter in Iron Banner this week so far, it doesn't feel great. The only thing that feels overpowered about them now is the super. So
Yeah, with
Titans.
that, I would have said like, if you go up to that one again, quick. Like, I think the top and bottom one would have been perfect, but the middle, the slow stacks, probably could have been left out.
Yeah. And see, the thing is as well, the argument I've seen, and it was from Otis as well, is this is the base damage originally 65, right? You hit somebody in the body with a Withering Blade when Beyond Light first came out, it did 65, but there was a critical hit on them. So if you hit somebody in the head, it did 90 damage. Well, they turned around and went, okay, well, to take away the skill gap, we're going to give you 90 damage across the board. And now they've gone, well, guess what? We're just going to take the 90 damage out and give you the 65 back. Like, why even make the change to giving us 90 across the board if you're just going to take it away within a month? Like, it's legit stupid. But yeah, I agree. I agree as well with what you said. I think the middle one could have been left out, because right now you need to have the aspect on that that is dodge to dodge to slow. You need to have dusk field grenades on to be able to even stand a chance of freezing somebody on a hunter. Like, you need to throw 2 shurikens, which is the Withering Blade, and then do one of those 2 abilities, either a dusk field grenade or dodge near them to freeze them. And that is technically 3 abilities. I'm a warlock main, right? What do I have that allows me to do it in 1?
Your melee, possibly your grenade, depending on which one you pick, and your rift.
Exactly. More specifically, the melee. More specifically, the melee and the rift. In one hit from either of those, I freeze you in PvP.
What's your take on it, Kit?
I don't know. I haven't really been in the game playing much since this update landed, so I haven't really got a feel for any of the abilities. I haven't had them used against me. I haven't used any of them. I usually call myself a hunter main, but I've been playing more warlock this season than anything else. But yeah, I think if they were going to reduce the amount by which it slows a target, I don't think they needed all 3. If they were going to reduce the damage, then leave the freeze effect as it is. Because you're not going to instantly kill someone by throwing shurikens at them.
I think the damage thing was needed. I think the damage thing was needed because too often you could literally throw. In fact, we saw it in trials, didn't we, Drider? You could throw a dusk field and throw 2 fucking Withering Blades, and you could kill the entire enemy team if you'd placed it right, and they were out of position.
Is that if you
the damage needed nerf.
If they leave one of them, so let's say you leave just the damage, right?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be a damaging ability, in my opinion. It should be utilization. So therefore, I think the damage needed nerfing.
Yeah. So, but if you kept the other 2, it doesn't freeze as much, and the target acquisition range is reduced, maybe even a little bit more. That would then sort of narrow that down as a damaging ability.
Yeah.
That then focuses it. if you do the damage change to 65 and you do the target acquisition, right, it doesn't target as hard, obviously, because it's got less range to try and find the target, but it still does the freeze. That then sort of focuses it as like a maneuverability thing.
Utilization.
They've sort of gone on both. They've kind of just crushed the entire thing instead of going, okay, well, the way it's used at the minute is too broad. We should probably focus it in one of them, rather than. Yeah. I think that's the direction they probably should have taken it instead of just going crush it all.
Well, here's the thing, and this is the sword I will die on, and I've said this to team players that are better PvP players than myself. I feel like Stasis as a whole should reward you for punishing somebody that's in bad positioning. So when you are hiding around a corner, if somebody throws a dusk field and you're encompassed in that dusk field to the point where you can't get out of the corner because the dusk field is going to freeze you regardless of if you try to get out of the corner, and you can't stay in the corner because you'll get frozen, and then you get frozen and that player who threw the dust field comes around the corner and kills you, you deserve to die. You were in the wrong position and they played it smart, right? If you're in a gunfight and you're reloading let's say me and you are fighting hand cannon versus hand cannon Drider, and both of us stop to reload. I throw a cold snap grenade down on the floor, or as a warlock main I hit you with my melee. It freezes you, right, long enough for me to switch weapons to my shotgun. I kill you. That's me making a smart decision of utilization of my abilities, right? I'm not just spamming it and you're frozen for 5 minutes and I can stand there and do a fucking dance and then kill you. Do you know what I mean? The timings of the freeze on all three classes, for one, need to be the same because they aren't. I can tell you now, the Warlock, I'd have to go and find the exact patch notes somewhere, but the Warlock, when it got nerfed, got then timings nerfed to like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, something like that. Whereas the Hunter and the Titan stayed at like 2.2 seconds or 2.5 seconds. It was the freeze timer for the Warlock. Sorry, not minutes. And whereas the Hunter and the Titan stayed, if you get frozen by either of those two, it was 5 seconds, right? So that's why you see somebody throw their fucking Revenant ult, yeah.
We good? Did we die?
The freeze goes out. We're good for me. I can still hear you. But yeah, the freeze goes out. People freeze, and then they break out, and they can't get out of the Revenant ult because it tracks them so fast. Or they don't break out because they don't want to die from, taking the hit, and it tracks them so fast because it doesn't auto unfreeze quick.
What happened there?
I don't know. We were good on my end. I can still hear you. But anyway, like literally, the timing is too off. If that makes sense, it's 5 seconds for like a Hunter or a Titan freezing you. A Warlock is the same as a cold snap, which is why you don't see Hunters or Titans use cold snap, because it throws all their timings off. Yeah, they can't think, okay, I've got 5. When that person's frozen, I've got 5 seconds to kill them, and then count it in their head. They have to think, oh, well, I've got 2 seconds, and it throws them all off, so they don't bother with them. One thing I will say, fighting against Glacial Quake, it feels a whole lot easier to kill them, despite it only going down by 10%. have we actually lost it? Here, can you? Let's try. Let me try moving us. Hello? Oh, for fuck's sake. I think I've lost my internet. Hello?
Hello. There we go. Can hear you now.
Hey.
There we go. We're back.
Yeah, my fucking... All my chats are saying fucking connecting to chat. So give me a second while I reset those.
No, you're good.
Yeah, right. Basically, what I was saying is, the timings feel off, going from one class to another.
The only thing in my eyes that should freeze longer than the cold snap grenade is a super.
I don't think they should even freeze, you know, that long. I think, for argument's sake, right, Behemoth, if you're close enough when they do the ground pound punch thing to freeze you, the likelihood is with one of their light attacks, they're going to hit you and kill you. Yeah? You don't need to be frozen for 5 seconds. If there is 3 people around that Behemoth, it should be a 1 in 3 chance that you're going to die. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
And then in the time it takes the Behemoth to cast the light attack and kill one of your teammates, the other 2 of you should have been frozen, or just becoming unfrozen, so that if the Behemoth is smart enough, they will cast the punch to the floor again to freeze you. Again. But if they aren't smart enough, you know, they try to punch you because they think, oh, they're frozen, and you just escape. Or because the physics is involved in that particular punch, you know, you just get punched into a wall.
Yeah.
Like, and die.
Which also can put us on to Glacial Titans, or Glacial Quake, should I say.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So, like, there's the disconnect. The same with, like, the Hunters freeze on cast. Yes, the cast of the first Shuriken, not Shuriken, it's a Karma, isn't it? It's like 2 frozen Karmas. Like the ice picks, whatever you want to call them. But anyway, like, the first one is supposed to freeze you, and then you're supposed to shatter with the second one, and then it turns into a tornado and, you know, goes around killing people. I feel like the range on that sometimes is actually ridiculous. Like, I feel like I'm far enough away from it, or I've jumped up in the air because they've chucked it at the floor right near me, and it still gets me. And it's like, how am I supposed to outplay this? Like, there's... As a golden gun, for instance, right? I played against a golden gun earlier this week in Iron Banner. And I peeked out. I shot the guy with my steady hand cannon. I took him down by about half of his shield. He turned. He shot at me with his golden gun. And I, you know, in that time frame, had gone back into the cover, and he missed. That means he's wasted one of his shots. That means his super's is a lot sooner to run out. And, you know, there's a degree of counterability there. That's, I think, what most people's issues with stasis was. There isn't counterability there. And that I think it was originally designed as a tool for you to punish people that were in bad positions, at the very top of the the skill gap within Destiny's PvP, and I also feel like if it wasn't designed that way, then it was the opposite, and it was designed to shrink said skill gap and give casual PvP players a way to compete with the top players, in the game.
Which then makes the top players even more.
Yeah, which then the top players then use it because it's a crutch for casual players, and they go, oh, well, this is OP, and casual players can keep up with me, and I'm, a 5.0 KD fucking player. Like, these 0.8s are managing to kill me because of this cheap-ass ability and this cheap-ass subclass. They go, well, I'm going to use it. It's the same with overpowered guns like fucking Bastion. Like,
I hate that gun.
Yeah, top tier players will typically only use it because of the fact that they've had it used against them and they've got fed up with it. And they're like, right, well, I'm going to use it because I'm a whole lot better than these players that have been using it against me. I'm going to have more success with it. We've lost Kit.
Parabolist. Yeah, I think he's having a few problems with his audio, so he just said, move on to the TWAB, finish up. We're at like 2 hours or already.
Yeah, he's in live VC right now. I dragged him. Hello.
Yeah, I still think his audio is fucked.
Okay. But yeah, basically, I think that's like the issue. They need to, as we were basically talking about with the Withering Blade, well, what is it meant to be? They need to sort of do that with all of the stasis classes as well, as a whole. Rather than going, is it a tool for casual players to keep up with, the sweats community, or is it a tool for punishing players for being out of position? And if it's punishing players that are being out of position, lower the freeze times to like 2.5 seconds, which is enough time to reload a gun or switch guns so that you can kill said target, or and completely do away with slow, like get rid of slow completely, because it's a movement based like first person shooter. Let's face it, it's not all movement, but there is a lot of movement involved in the game. Slow is just
change it slightly so that you don't get this weapon accuracy penalty, the reload penalty, and all that sort of stuff. That it only does the sort of slow that Night Stalker's melee does, because that's lethal enough. Like, you're not lethal, but it's annoying enough in itself that they could have just done it a similar way of that, just without the visual effect. You know what I mean? So they need to have a clear vision. They need to decide on that vision
and go in that direction. We're on the same page in that sense. And then so to quickly just cover the Warlock changes, there was a slight nerf to the damage of the melee, so we can't do 80 damage, do 30 now, but we still insta freeze you. The detonation proximity for the super projectiles was increased. There's the detonation now starts at its largest and scales down to 40% over time. So as it gets further away as it's cast, it's a shorter distance. But then, the tracking is weird. The tracking has now been increased, and it's actually broken, and Bungie have acknowledged that it's broken, and they noticed this with internal testing, but they didn't want to change something and potentially break the whole patch because they wanted to get the changes even to stasis out there. You know what I mean? They wanted to make sure that we could experience stasis in a more balanced sense. So they thought, fuck it, we'll just throw it out and then we'll hotfix it later. So don't be surprised if in a week or two there's a patch note that says, toned something along the lines of, it won't exactly say these words, but tone down the tracking on Winter's Wrath projectiles. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
But that's pretty much all I wanted to personally cover. You got the Duskfield grenades pull range going down from 9.5 to 6 meters, and they reduced the slow on detonation from 20 to 10. Hey, we've got a kit back.
Yeah, we do. Don't know what happened there. A little bit of an outage.
This
On a very specific set of text. It's weird.
This UI change with the slowed thing, by the way, times 100 instead of times 10. Playing Iron Banner earlier this week feels a whole lot better. You now feel like, you know, it's a percentage of 100. Okay, so I'm 100%. I'm not 100% frozen until I'm frozen. I am 60% slowed. Do you know what I mean? And that feels a whole lot great, a lot better than just seeing times 10 times 4 appear on the side of your screen. One thing I don't agree with, and I was saying to this to Kit earlier, just before we dragged you into the podcast channel, while she was sort of sat in the waiting room, Drider. I don't agree with this. Personally, this damage against players from 85 max and 55 min to 55 max 25 min, because it now basically means that, let's say where the 85 is a player like just stood here, I need to be like basically here to kill someone, and by that point, because they've done this, and then in the process with regards to like Hunter's Shatter Dive, removed the damage resistance completely. By the time I am shatter diving my crystals to potentially kill 2-3 people, I either shatter dive them, succeed, and kill one person, or I don't manage to finish off my shatter dive because they shotgun me in the face because I've got no damage resistance. I understand that the stasis crystals as a whole needed to be touched with regards to like the Titan slide and obviously Hunter's Shatter Dive. But when you you nerf the Shatter Dive but don't nerf the slide and then nerf the crystals, you basically do what you did with Warlock Stasis in comparison to the other two Stasis classes and make it pointless in comparison. You didn't see anybody
test him until we see like how effective it is, like, and what can be done until we see some proper see testing of like how it feels and stuff like that. Like, you're gonna get more people asking them to turn it up just a little bit, but not too much. And
yeah,
I think.
But anyway,
it's like
yeah. I really just think that they need to keep an eye on him and change him again, personally. So, last thing before we get you to do your little bit of a spiel, if you will, Drider, is TWAB.
The TWAB, and it is a relatively short one.
Kit.
Yeah.
It's relatively short. We had the new strike for those that earn the season pass. There is a cutscene that if anybody does the strike for the first time, I urge you to watch it. I'm not going to cover anything in it because of spoilers. Some people won't be able to do the strike until the weekend, and obviously we're live right now on a Thursday, so I'm not gonna cover that really. Lobby balancing act. Long story short, they're gonna start doing snake draft now, so balancing will be more balanced across teams rather than here's 12 players, just throw them into a game. And they're actually testing that as of today with Iron Banner and Iron Banner freelance playlists, so you should notice a difference if you go into those two playlists. We have another Prime Gaming rewards. You got Proving Grounds obviously came out with, which is the strike. Guardian Games Ghost Shells is issues with. They covered the hotfix that's coming on the 1st of April. Apparently there was an issue with Xenophage quest puzzles They're now working
I
as
didn't
intended.
even realize this was a thing.
What?
The Xenophage puzzle thing. I didn't
Oh,
realize
yeah.
that was still a thing.
And then you've got obviously movie of the week. So Hunter Melees apparently went against Eyes of Riven, Task Force Titan, Weapon and Guardians, Artist of the Week. So yeah, and then it is an early TWAB. You know, they do it in afternoon Pacific, release time next week. We've got a bit more to chew on now and then, don't we? So yeah, there's a few things to sort of get out, and they wanted to do it a little earlier this week. So we had this before the podcast even went live, whereas usually we get this about an hour ago, and I have to quickly pull it up whilst we're chatting about another topic. So yeah, let's finish up then, since we have ran over time a little bit. I've already got a raid target in mind because he's somebody that I want to have on the podcast and haven't just yet.
That's brilliant.
So Drider, as the closing sort of like remarks that we usually do, we want to thank you for, you know, coming on as usual, as we usually do. Thank everybody for coming on.
Been a pleasure to be here, my friend.
Is there anybody that you would want to see come on this podcast? And if so, and they want to potentially be on it with you, would you be inclined to come back?
I'd be more than happy to come back. Talking about all this stuff, talking about Destiny and all the stuff that's upcoming and exciting, it's just nothing else you can live for as a gamer, really, is there? You know, you grow up like watching these sort of podcasts on YouTube and stuff. To have the option to come on and be on one with you guys is brilliant. So I'd be happy to come back. I'd be happy to come and entertain.
Okay. But yeah, is there anybody that you can think of in your mind? You know, obviously I said I asked Grandad Gaming when I asked you earlier, when I told you. He's already said he would like to come on in a future episode. So if there's anybody else that you can think of that's, you know, doesn't necessarily have to be an affiliate, even just a streamer that you think would work well and get a good point across, essentially.
I think probably Wilnos would probably have a good few things to say in the podcast if he hasn't been on already.
He hasn't.
He's quite good at talking. He could talk himself out of a gunfight, I think, that kid. So yeah, he's probably someone that I could see would do well in coming on, and I'd like to see him come on and have his piece and stuff like that. But to be honest, the first person I thought of was Grandad. Like, I'd love to be on a podcast with Grandad. I think that'd be hilarious. It would definitely be my thing. But other than that, probably Grandad and Wilnos would probably be my first two picks for a future podcast. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, thank you very much for coming on. It's nice to know that you were happy to be on, and you wanted to potentially come back on again. Our raid target this week, Kit, is our good friend. And this will give you an option because I've seen that they've both gone live. If you want to do your GM, mate, we're going to go and see Dune Marchers.
Ooh, Dooney boy.
He's a good friend. Like I said, I mentioned him earlier when we were on about the trials thing. I did trials with him and Otis earlier this week, like this weekend just gone. I did my GM with him and 5 last night, and then also did another one earlier today with chat as well. But we're going to raid Dune Marchers. Let me make sure I get his fucking name right, because I will never hear the end of it if I don't.
Yes, you really won't.
Not only from him, but from Kit as well. Okay. Anybody that's usually here and knows the drill by now, just spam in the Intrepid Charge or Intrepid Love Beam emotes. And if you are new to the channel, don't want to use channel points to unlock the emotes for 24 hours, so you only have the Twitch global emotes, you can use either of the two I just put in chat right now.
I think we've lost each other again.
Well, it's a good job we're finishing then, because stream can still hear you guys, and I can hear if I can hear you, so there we go. Appreciate you for coming on again, Drider, just in case you can hear me. And we'll see you on the next one, everybody. Peace.